Good morning, students. How are you? This is Kumar Bhattacharyya, your English teacher. Boys, I hope that you are passing your days well, staying at home safe. We know that the second wave of COVID-19 is prevailing around the world, especially in South Asian countries like Bangladesh. To get rid of this situation, we have to follow all the rules of health and sanitation. By the way, as you have appeared at the quiz examinations and your first time exam will be probably started after Eid vacation. So we should not stay idly at home. Rather, we have to take preparation. As a Gregorian, you have to make yourself competent for the level what you belong. So, there is no alternative to study if you want to make yourself competent for this level. We are taking online classes actually to assist you as mentor if you have some problems anywhere. Okay, boys, it is my expectation that you are utilizing your time in the best possible manner. Once again, I'd like to welcome you all to our online session. This session is for the class 9 students. Today we will discuss about connectors. This is the continuation of the previous class. Okay, boys, are you ready? Since, as, because, for, these are connectors. And actually, I think you know them well as conjunctions. And these conjunctions are actually connectors. They can make a link between two. Now, so we'll start from since, as, because, or for. Actually, they are quite same. These connectors are used to make a link between the two clauses having cause and fact. Okay, there should be a fact in one clause and there should be the cause of this fact. Look at the structure. If we want to use since or as, in general, these two conjunctions or connectors, they are used in the beginning of a sentence. If since or as is used in the beginning of a sentence, after these connectors there will come the clause having cause, and then in the next clause we have to write the fact. So I think it will be clear to you if you look at the example. Since or as the boy could not do the work properly, they terminated him from the job. Look at this. They terminated him that means the boy, from the job. This is a fact. And what is the reason of this fact or cause of this fact? The cause is in the first clause. And this first clause is followed by the connectors like since or as. Have you understood, boys? Now look at the second one, second structure. Actually, this is a bit reverse of the previous one. Now, fact is in the beginning. In the middle, there is the connectors like because or for. And after because or for, in the second clause, we have to use there the clause which expresses the cause. Now look at the example. Our wildlife is being endangered day by day. Because or for, we are cutting down trees at random. Okay. Now look at this. The first clause, that is, our wildlife is being endangered day by day. This is a fact. And what is the cause of this fact? the cause of this fact is we are cutting down trees at random, and these two clauses are connected with the connectors because of for. Okay boys, have you understood? Now comes to next connectors. Previously we discussed about the connectors which expresses cause and effect. Now we are going to discuss about the effect. So to indicate effect, we have to use the connectors like as a result or consequent. Actually, these connectors cannot join the two clauses directly to make a sentence, but these connectors can make a link between the two consecutive sentences. These linking words or connectors, whatever you can say, are used to express the effect of action. In this case, we can find an action or activity, and the result of this action is in the second clause. In the first clause, we can find a fact. What is, you can say this is an incident or action, and in the second clause, we will find there is the result of this action. What we can say, effect. Now look at the structure. Fact plus as a result or consequently plus effect. Actually, I have used that plus, but we are not actually linking the two clauses here. I have already told you in the first clause, in the first sentence there should be the fact. In the beginning of the second sentence there should be as a result or consequently, and then after the connectors there should be the sentence which express the effect of this fact. Now look at the example. People around the globe are using electronic devices. This is the fact. As a result, the natural environment is at a great risk for electronic waste. So actually this is the effect. And now look at this. At the beginning of the the second sentence, so I have used there the connectors like as a result to indicate the effect. Look at the second example. The surface soil of the cultivable land is being washed away. As a result or consequently, the fertility of the land is decreasing rapidly. Now look at this. The first one indicates the fact, and the second one is indicating the effect of this fact. Okay, and that's why in the beginning of the second one I have used the conjunction or connectors like as a result or consequent. Have you understood boys? Now comes to the next connectors, if or provided that. Actually you can find that, so these connectors are generally used to indicate conditional sentences. Okay, conditional sentences, and you can follow the structure like if plus present indefinite or future indefinite. Okay, if plus present indefinite plus future indefinite, we can use this structure. So there are three conditionals. I have used there the first conditional, that is if plus present indefinite plus future indefinite. Okay, if there is no other way, we will take the second alternative. Now look at this. In the beginning of the sentence there is the conjunction, that is if, and if is the connection. If is the connector in this sentence. Now look at this. We can also follow the second structure. This is the reverse of the first one. Future indefinite plus if or provided that plus present indefinite. In case of provided that, we must have to use the future indefinite, the clause which is the future indefinite tense that should come in the beginning. Provided that, we will definitely go in the beginning, middle of the sentence, and after that there should be the clause which is in present indefinite tense. Now look at this. They will join the party if or provided that they have no other business. Okay boys, have you understood? Okay. Now comes to the next connectors. Unless or otherwise. Actually unless is the negative form of if. We use if the two clauses are in affirmative form. We use unless itself is the negative form of if. Okay, if there is the conditional sentences and The second clause indicates the negative word, negative sense. Then we have to use unless if we can find no negative in the first clause. Look at this. These connectors are used to join the two clauses expressing conditional sentences. Unless itself is negative, so there is no need to use any negative word in the clause that is followed by the connector unless. The clause which will come after unless, there should be no negative form because unless itself is negative. Have you understood? Okay. The next clause, which is principal clause, must have a negative word or the verb expressing negative idea. Okay. As unless itself is negative, so the next clause, which is the principal clause, that should be in negative form. Sometimes we cannot find any negative word in this clause, but the verb itself can express the negative idea. Now look at the example. So first look at the structure. Unless plus present indefinite plus future indefinite, then future indefinite, that means the second clause, that should be negative. Unless you are sincere, you will not do the work properly. Now look at this. The first clause is in affirmative form and the second clause is in negative form. But as we have used there unless, now it has become negative. The farmer cannot grow bumper crops unless there is favorable weather. So look at this. The first clause, that is in negative form, that is principal clause. In the middle there is unless, and just after unless there is the subordinate clause, and it is in affirmative form. As unless itself is negative, that's why there is no need to use there any negative form. Okay boys, have you understood? Now comes to other connectors. Or otherwise. Actually, these connectors are used in compound sentences. We use these connectors or otherwise to make a compound sentence. Conditional clauses are linked with them in the middle. We can use these connectors if we find the first clause in imperative sentence pattern and the second clause, that is principal clause, is in assertive but in negative form. So the second clause, that should be in negative form, but the first clause, that's in affirmative form, and the first clause should be in imperative sentence mode, and then we can only use their or otherwise as connectors in the middle. Okay, now look at this structure. Imperative sentence plus or otherwise plus future indefinite. Future indefinite should be in negative form. Okay, now hurry up, otherwise you will not do the right task at the right time. Now look at this. In the middle of the sentence there is otherwise, and now in the second sentence, be prudent or you will not be able to solve the problem perfectly. Now look at this. Be prudent is in affirmative form. In the middle there is or, and in the second clause, you will not be able to solve the problem in negative form. Okay. Now this is the use of otherwise or. Yes boys, this is the ending of today's session. Thank you very much. Stay at home safe.